All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that. Turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop. I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top. I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi. How
Hello.
are you
Cheers.
all? It seems like such a long time since we've been
I
together.
know. It's
How
been
many
a couple hours.
Yes, literally, couple hours.
A couple hours. We're coming off of I was going to say our annual girls weekend. This wasn't our annual
No.
girls weekend. It was just a girls weekend. Stacey came up and we got the whole broad squad together for a little bit this weekend.
We did.
Yes. Did listeners, did you check out our Facebook and Instagram stories?
Mhm.
And because we shared the pictures of the whole group, and Kitty had this brilliant idea because we talked about before here how Kitty's so much shorter than the rest of us. She thought it was going to be a super good idea to like kneel on the stool.
Yeah.
It is the goofiest looking picture ever. This will tell you that yes, the crew was 3 cocktails in.
Yeah, maybe
when we took
4.
that picture.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe
4.
4 cocktails in.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah.
4.
It did seem.
Cropped it would look very nice, but
Yes.
yeah, Kitty
But then
doesn't.
it would also look panorama if we cropped it.
That will.
Yeah.
It would.
Yeah.
But
It
either way,
seemed
it
like
was
a good idea at the
fun.
time.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun, and we'll never forget that and keep reminding you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
And
you.
as much crap as we give you, there were 4 other people in that never said boo about how it could be a bad idea. So,
Including the poor dude that we asked to take our picture. So,
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh, well.
yeah.
Anyway, it was fun. We're all tired. Stacey just drove 3 hours home, and here we are jumping on to another episode of 3 Cocktails In. So we're happy to be here on the small screen together, and thank you all for tuning in. This is going to be our second installation in this series of 3.
Our third.
It's our third sister.
This is our third.
Yes.
We did. That's right. You're right. See, I'm not well. So that's right. Okay. So Amy was on the hot seat first. We learned a little bit more about her career as a realtor, learned a little bit about the real estate market. And then last week, that's right, we talked a little bit about marketing and branding. And we are very excited to focus on Stacey. Amy and I and the rest of the Broad Squad, and of course everyone in your family, Stacey, and your friend group, everyone knows how amazing you are. But we're going to share with the world a little bit about what you do professionally.
Great.
And again, what we love about this group is that we all have very different areas of expertise. So let's start off by, why don't you just give us an overview of what you do?
Sure. So I work for Poet Grain in Wichita, but I work at Poet Biorefining in Jewel. And Poet Biorefining makes bioethanol and some other products from corn. And that is, corn that's field corn or dent corn is what the feedstock is for it. And so like I said, we make bioethanol, we make animal feed, and we make corn oil from corn that local farmers grow. So what I do specifically, I crunch spreadsheets and form some strategy and manage a small team. We weigh in corn, weigh out feed, do a lot of accounting, paperwork for that. But my most important job, I think, is that I, form relationships with local farmers so we can buy their corn and have a constant supply because we need it, every day, all year long.
Mm-hmm. So how how do you form the relationships with the farmers? Like, what does that look like?
Um, they're again very local. So, we have a 30 to 40-mile radius typically. So we're part of the community. We
Mm.
get out and have meetings and meet people and talk to them on the phone all the time, see them face to face. Um,
You get up at the crack of dawn and go to the local diner and sit down and
the
have a
local
cup of coffee
the local
with
Casey's.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that what it is?
At
The
the
local
local
Casey's?
Casey's, yeah. We have a joke about that because that's what they do. They walk into Casey's, have their coffee, and stand in the corner, and then on days I walk in, I take all sorts of, guff and, "Oh, geez, the corn price isn't high enough," and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah,
Do you buy
that's
them their donuts?
that's how that works once in a while. Yeah,
There
once
you
in a while.
go.
Yep,
There you go.
yes. So, yeah, that's how it works. Um Like I said, we do a ton of different things, but like I said, those things are the most important. Ethanol itself, and we call it bioethanol because it's plant based.
Mm.
What goes into it is the corn, a lot of, you know, enzymes, yeast, and everything gets added to it. The starch and the sugar from the corn is what ferments, and that's the part that makes ethanol. It's kind of, you know, I can't explain all the process, but down the road in the process, then it's separated out where the ethanol is separated from what they call the solids. So the solids part is then spun more and where the corn oil is taken out. And then what's left is kind of this goopy, stuff that's further dried into like what would be similar to cornmeal, kind of a
Hmm.
gritty, you know, kind of product that's dry. And animals eat that. So cows,
Mm.
pigs, poultry, it's like a animal feed or mixed with animal food.
Mhm.
Corn oil also is used in that way too for animals, also goes in the biodiesel process as well. So, like from all that corn that we purchase, everything gets used. There's no waste to what we do,
Oh,
right?
huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so do all the farmers then just bring their corn to you?
We set a price and they sell it when they want or where they want. We have a lot of competition. So
Okay.
we,
Time out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not a farmer here.
Hmm.
What?
You aren't?
I have mentioned I've killed a few plants this winter, right? So when you say you have a lot of competition,
Yes.
you have competition to buy corn?
Yes. So great question because yes, we have a lot of also bioethanol plants near us and feed
Okay.
mills, which also buy corn to make feed as well. So yes, we have competition that can be 3 miles away or within 30 miles, 50 miles. We're all trying to buy the same kernel of corn, bushel of corn,
Okay.
right? So we
Interesting.
try to stand out in service, right? So it's a customer service based, process. We're not always the highest price. We try not to be the lowest price. We're trying to buy enough, so we have this consistent supply. It's supply and demand. When we have a big supply, the corn prices move lower. When we have a shorter supply, or we have a weather event. We have a big
Act of
snowstorm
God.
which we
Mhm.
have had, so that slows things up. So our price changes all the time based on what the supply is, how fast it's moving to us, what we need, what our storage is at the time, how much space we have.
So with that, Do you find your business is seasonal? Is it I mean, you can't have bioethanol production be seasonal, can you?
It's 24/7. So the plant runs
Okay.
24/7,
Okay.
but we have so as you drive into our plant, we have, big storage bins that holds it, but that's even at that, that's only a little more than a month of our, the storage capacity is only a month's worth of the corn we need. So farmers also have storage on farm, and then
Oh,
local elevators, that's their, business as well, is to take corn, beans, whatever, into their elevator, store it until an end user needs it. So that's why we're buying corn all the time, basically. But
okay.
yes,
Mm,
harvest is the busiest. We take the most,
sure.
we fill up, that's the point. And then the rest of the year we have to keep buying as well to feed the plant, right?
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, like,
Okay.
how, it seems to most people like it's fairly new. Isn't really. The the Model T was, built a bunch of years ago, and it actually ran on ethanol. The problem was, prohibition showed up and they outlawed any kind of alcohol. It's basically corn alcohol. So they outlawed it with prohibition. So then it took a while to come back into play. Um, that happened in the 70s when big states and big cities decided we have a smog problem now and want to try to clean up um, that issue, right? And so if you blend ethanol, which is a fuel, not an additive, but a fuel that's cleaner burning in with gas, then it also makes the whole process cleaner. So, like, you can go on
Mm,
YouTube and see that demonstration. They burn
mm,
ethanol and it's a nice, blue flame, nothing,
mhm,
come from it. You can't smell it. The gas, you burn it and it's this kind of bigger yellow flame with smoke, billowing up
mm,
from it. And that's what makes the um, problem. So ethanol is a fix to that. There's other pieces to it. So there's other reasons why, we use ethanol or we want to produce ethanol. Biggest is that, we have this huge corn supply and, some of it is used for feed, right? So we grow US farmers grow 15 billion bushels. 5 of it's used for feed, a little more than 5 of it's used for bioethanol. A couple billion of it is exported to other countries, mostly Mexico, Canada, Asian countries, and about a little more than a billion is used for human food like cornflakes, corn chips, corn tortillas, that kind of thing. So but even with that, there's still this 2 billion bushel surplus of corn at the moment this year. So farmers have always forever, looked for different ways to use their product. They don't want to grow less, they want to grow more with, over time with technology and seed technology, they keep growing more bushels per acre. So they want a way to use it. So that's a reason, this started as well. So it
mhm,
came back into play in the 70s that they're looking for, ways to clean up the smog issue, right? So the government said, okay, well, you can put 10%, blend 10% ethanol into the gas that you sell, right? Well, the oil and gas industry didn't want to give up any market share. They want to sell their product. They don't want to sell our product, right? So it didn't really take off again until, it's sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s, when the government then said, well, you will blend 10% ethanol into the gas supply. So that's when it really took off, and ethanol plants were built all over the Midwest because, the Midwest grows all the corn. So the biggest um, states that grow the most corn, Iowa's number one, Illinois, Nebraska, Minnesota, where you guys are from, is number four. And then Illinois, Ohio, Missouri, Kansas, everywhere else around in the Midwest. Also Texas, California. So again, there's a big supply. So, but they built ethanol plants right where the supply is. So farmers can, drive just a few miles to sell their crop. Makes sense?
Yes, if
Um,
you're trying to reduce fog and smog, you don't want your trucks driving farther.
right. That's a good point. That is. Right. So again, back to like the gas and oil industry, where we, besides the US production of, oil and gas, we buy a ton of it from, countries like Russia and Iran and Iraq and Saudi Arabia, those kind of things. So the ethanol industry also is trying to help decrease the dependency on
Mm.
foreign oil, right? So that's another reason why we do want to use it. I mentioned clean burning. We also, help with the rural economy. They're all, most plants are put in a rural setting.
Hmm,
So helps
sure.
with, we have,
Jobs.
yeah. So where I live, there's 1,000 people or less that live in Jewel, but yet we have a, industry just a mile away with
Mhm.
employees that, again, helps the tax base of the city and county and all the other things, construction and, even down to catering and grocery stores that help support the community.
Sure.
Mhm.
Um,
Can I
yeah,
ask a
yeah,
perhaps a
mhm.
silly question?
Not silly.
Why are some of us, or why have we been told that we shouldn't put ethanol in our cars? Gas with ethanol in our cars.
Sure. Well, we go back to that thing where the oil and gas industry, at the time wasn't too thrilled with giving up market share. So they've put a lot of false information out, honestly. The biggest one for a while was food versus fuel. The thought was, why would we use food, corn, to produce fuel when we have plenty of it? But again, I told you we keep growing more and more and still have a big surplus. So there's plenty. If they want to use more for food, corn chips and whatever, there's certainly the supply for that as well. Um, the thought that it hurts your engines is possible. Um,
Does
the
it?
It depends on what you drive, obviously. So in the US, 2001 makes and models of cars and newer can easily run 10% ethanol. Okay. The um, things that maybe shouldn't, they say, well, definitely your, um, older cars, your oh, small
Those
engine,
classic?
classic cars should
Okay.
not, just because of what their engine was, when it was
Oh,
built many years ago. Small engines, probably not. Things like lawn mowers, snowmobiles, that kind of thing. They say don't put it in that. Anything else 2001 and newer should be able to run ethanol.
Mhm.
There's a specific blend called E85. So it's 85% ethanol. That's only for flex fuel vehicles. So those are specific kind of vehicles. If you buy a flex fuel vehicle, and you can use
Okay.
E85. You can also use E10 or E15, which is 10% or 15% ethanol, but they know they can use E85 if they want. Um,
Why? Sorry, it's. I think this is related, so I'll interject the
mhm,
question. Why?
yep.
Why does it seem like there are different options at the pump here in Minnesota than, say, I am going to Sioux Falls for a weekend and I go to get gas and I stand there in front of the pump and there are things that I don't recognize,
Yeah, a whole bunch.
a
Yeah,
whole bunch, and
yeah.
then I don't know which one to pump.
Know what to do, right?
Yeah.
So, there are a lot of choice. That's a marketing piece to it too, is that you can choose what you want, right? And ethanol cheapens the price. The more ethanol they put in, that makes the price of a gallon of gas cheaper. So your E10 is a certain price. E15 is a little cheaper than that. Sometimes you can find different places. You might find E30, E85. All of those are, step down cheaper. Your premium gets more expensive. Can be a couple of reasons. They either put an additive in the premium to make your engine run better. Um, so some of premium gas won't have ethanol in it, so then it's more expensive anyway.
Hmm.
um the research I did says you should look at your manual. It'll say possibly what your car requires for fuel or what they recommend. So they may recommend premium, may not really need it, may or may not. And there are some that say it's required to have premium gas. There's some that are required to not have premium gas. So they're not built to use a higher octane of gas. And that's basically what it's saying. So your regular it's about octane, and that's a number again, which is just makes it more confusing to me.
Mhm.
So E10 has an octane of 87. E15, also sometimes called unleaded 88, has 88 octane. And then there's a mid grade that's like 90 and a premium that's 92 or 3 or something like that, if that makes sense. 90, 91, 92, 93 for
Sure.
premium. Like I said, I'm not an expert on that, but the premium, and especially in Minnesota, since one of the bigger states, your Senator Amy Klobuchar is leading the charge in trying to get E15, right, in the state of Minnesota, pushing for all the states. So Midwestern states like Iowa, Minnesota have, put what do I want to say? They've at the state level said we will blend E15. It's a lot of the other states that haven't moved into that
Hmm.
thinking yet. So in Minnesota, your premium may very well have ethanol in it. Usually if it doesn't, it'll say no ethanol, like a sticker on the pump.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. So it depends on your car and what your reason for maybe wanting cheaper or more expensive fuel.
So I have to either Google it or I have to get my manual out and read that.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I know. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, in general, they say most cars today on the road, unless it's a old and classic car,
Mhm.
2001 and
Mhm.
newer can use it. 95% of the gas sold in the US has at least a blend of 10%. So most likely you're
It's already in
getting that
there.
anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Stacey, how did you get into Poet and specifically this line of work?
The slow way.
The
I
slow way.
started, yes, the very slow way. Um, you know, my I didn't finish college. I went 5 semesters towards a finance degree. We moved a bunch. I had kids, when I was ready to, you know, get a real job. Um, Found one within the egg industry, so I did, started billing and doing bookkeeping basically for um country elevator that, did fuel and fertilizer chemical sales type thing. Moved to a elevator that and was buying corn, beans, oats. Did that for a bit. Just kind of kept moving my way towards
Mhm.
something different, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Within that same company, I got an accounting position, did that for a while, moved to a assistant merchandiser position for a while, and then Poet just right, we moved again in between there. And then Poet was building this plant just 5 miles from where I lived. So applied for a position there, got a merchandising position to buy corn, and
Mhm.
that's how it is. And that's been 18 years ago. I'm just starting my 18th year.
Wow.
Wow.
So yeah, just a lot of different things to get
Mhm.
to this place. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Hmm.
It's really interesting, and it's absolutely something that I know absolutely nothing about. So, we're always peppering you with questions, and
Yep.
whenever we go on Girls Weekend, there's always Stacey with her laptop, and she's
I know.
crunching spreadsheets.
Yep.
You're
Yep.
always crunching spreadsheets, and we've also watched you listen to the farm report in the morning.
Oh yes, that's exciting. Ooh. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, if we
Thrilling.
ever need lifelines and you need to know something about the farm report,
Yes. I
you can
probably
send
yes.
Stacy a message, not
Yeah,
us, but
sure. Yeah. Yep,
uh-huh.
She's
we'll see what we can figure out.
she's your
If I
girl.
don't haven't already heard it, I can research it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
what does the future look like for bioethanol, or kind of what are the things that you guys are keeping your eyes on?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, the Midwestern states are trying to get E15 adoption throughout the US. That's the first big hurdle. Um, knowing things like NASCAR, for instance, uses E15 already. IndyCar uses E85. So those are high performing vehicles, can,
Mhm.
use bioethanol. Um, then I would say another big thing that's coming that's going to take a while, honestly, is the sustainable aviation fuel. So it is blending ethanol into fuel for jets. So we use a lot of gas for, jet fuel, and
Interesting.
that's the next thing. However, it's not just a matter of taking the product that we produce and blending it with jet fuel. It's a
Mhm.
little different. There's a new plant
Mhm.
that just opened, I guess the first one in Georgia. Um, so that'll be a thing that comes. But like I said, just like the actual bioethanol industry was a little slow at first to get going, there's a lot of hoops to jump through to
Yeah.
get to that point. But
Yeah.
that'll be the next big thing. So we'll see.
So, do you feel like, is it decades away,
Not
or
decades.
not
I
that
think it'll
far?
be faster than that.
Okay.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done with the carbon intensity discussion, so every company is trying to reduce their carbon intensity score. So especially
Mhm.
if you're manufacturing
Mhm.
anything, right? So even
Yeah.
Pepsi, say for instance, um, are working towards that goal, as is
Mhm.
Poet. But there's some things that have to happen for, even farming practices have to change a little bit, or, you know, bigger adoption of better farming practices. Poet needs to do some things to get, that lower carbon
Hmm.
score.
Mhm.
Poet itself, in the last less than 20 years, probably 15, has reduced its energy use by 18%, has reduced its water use by 20%. So it's all that kind of thing that still will happen,
Mhm.
to get to that point where you can be a, call yourself a, low carbon
Yeah.
company, so you can move on to the
Hmm.
aviation fuel debate. So that's
Yeah.
something. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Um, and I'm guessing that people may have more questions about this. It is definitely a topic. It's a conversation that you don't have on a regular basis. I
Right.
don't know anyone else who works in this industry whatsoever. This
Right.
question about what am I seeing at the gas tank? I've never asked that to
Yeah.
anybody. I mean,
Yeah.
I've maybe asked
And
Bill.
and I think
Right.
that's a challenge in itself, which I'm guilty of too, because you pull up to a gas pump and there's 5 choices.
Hmm.
What do you do? So then it ends up being more like, what 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 do you find important? A lot of people
Hmm.
would say, well, they're going to buy the cheapest gas. Some people don't. So then it takes a
Yeah.
different reason to figure out, well,
Mm-hmm.
what else can I use or should I use? Or,
Hmm.
yeah. So I get it. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I
I mean,
just didn't know anybody who could explain it.
right.
Mm,
Yeah.
mhm. Yeah.
Because to me, it's that octane number and it's the price. But I don't know what octane is. I
Yeah.
don't know what that matters. And then you
Yeah.
hear a rumor about,
Mhm.
somebody says, well, you shouldn't, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
Should never
Then you're
use
like,
it.
oh,
Yeah.
so now we know.
Yeah, right. And that's why I think, and especially where you live and where I live, it's probably in it and you don't even know it, would be my
Hmm.
guess, unless you're really specifically seeking out the premium with no
Yeah.
ethanol in it.
Yeah.
Hmm,
So, yeah,
very
yeah,
cool.
Okay.
right? I know.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you for
You
educating us.
you are welcome.
Yeah. If anyone has questions on this, please drop them in drop them in comments. And
Mhm.
I'm sure that the topic will come up again in future conversations as well. So um,
Maybe.
there are probably other little offshoots of conversation that we can have on the
Oh, yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I gotta know a little bit more about Stacy and her farmer customers.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not sure how many listen to the podcast. I would guess there's maybe a couple. I don't know. There's several that have mentioned it. I can't imagine they listen, but you never know. However, I will
Mhm.
shout out to the Farm Hers. So I think that's a group that's very, you know, not recognized often, and those are the mothers and the wives and the daughters of,
Mhm.
farmers. They equally work on the farm, a lot of them. I
Mhm.
have about 4 or 5 female customers that really do call and market their corn. That's Marcy. I think Marcy listens. There's those women that do that piece.
Mhm.
There's women that really are running the combine, running the tractors, running the catch cart at harvest, doing all
Mhm.
those kind of things. There's the ones that make make food, take to their big group in the field, because farmers don't want to take a break even to eat supper. So there's
Mhm.
those, which that's the piece I would not do. Try to cook meals, hot meals for 20 every day. No.
Yep.
um there's the ones that do the books. They do all the books for the farming business, and it is a business. It definitely is. They're pretty business savvy. um and very tech savvy. You wouldn't think that. Like, if you think farmer in your head, most, I think, picture this older guy in overalls and has a pitchfork, right? Yeah, no. They're sometimes they probably look like that. I will admit, but no, they're doing a lot of other things. Um They sit on boards kind of thing. They go to Washington and lobby, and then they come home and like their lifestyle. That's what they call it, a lifestyle of, it's a family business. There's the kids, the daughters even, that part-time do all the chores and help farm seasonally when they're not in school, so all that kind of thing. So yeah.
I would guess it's far more technical and scientific and complex
Yeah. Then you would think.
than we ever think about as we
Right.
drive from one city to the other
Yeah.
and just pass fields on the
See it
sides.
all.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
for instance, you should see the inside of a $500,000 and plus combine. It has computer screens all over the front. Tractors drive themselves. I mean, I don't think they're to the place where nobody's sitting there while it's doing that. But yeah, the tractors drive themselves. They stop at the end and get it turned around and just keep on going back and forth in fields. So it's a lot of technology driven, a lot of more business, practices than you would think, because it's a lot of money. It's not necessarily profit. I mean, we pay a lot for corn and they just turn right around and pay a lot for all their fertilizer and chemicals and seed and, fuel and
Sure.
equipment. So,
Yeah.
Well, it kind of makes sense that Poet is and other companies are taking that and taking it a step further and doing something really
Right.
smart with it. So
Yep.
very cool.
Yep. So that's all I know. Yeah, I'm tapped out. That's it.
Wonderful.
You couldn't ask me another question
All right.
that I could
We're
ask.
That's
done.
great. That's
Right?
great. Thank you, Stacey.
Yes.
Thank you. Does anybody have a shot?
Yeah, don't get on a stool when
Oh,
you're taking a photo. Please think about the end result of the photos you're going to take this week.
Sure.
Big picture it.
Mm-hmm. Oh boy.
Like I said, you never know what we might do on a night out.
That's true. That's true. But all in all, it was really pretty tame. It was just wonderful to be able to spend time together.
It always is. Yes, it is.
And we make it a priority. That's something that
We do.
one of the reasons why we wanted to do the podcast, to talk about the importance of this friend group. And while it's the three of us that get together to do the podcast, we have the Broad Squad, which is the original group. And it's what I love about it is that even though months can go by that we all don't get together, then when we do, it's just like no time has passed at all.
Yep.
And that
Every time.
Yeah, every time. And it's true friendship, and we're all just so fortunate to have this friend group. So listeners, find your people, because they are out there and they're so incredibly important. What? Are you laughing at my heart?
No, Stacey was doing something like this.
I always forget.
Like
I
this.
never
I'm
do
like,
it. So
you got to get the point at the bottom. I mean, this just,
I know.
what is this?
Okay, that's mine. I need to practice my heart because I evidently use it all the time. Yeah, never.
I actually do this a lot.
Oh, well, you've practiced.
Yeah.
I'll practice that this week.
Oh, you guys, we've hit the wall. We're getting punchy.
Yeah, I know, we have hit the wall. Okay, so
All right.
come on back next week for more. I was going to say riveting, addicting conversations.
Yes, there we go.
I have no idea what we're talking about next week.
No,
but it'll be great.
We'll give us suggestions.
Yep. We're always looking for suggestions. All right. Until next week, everybody, have a wonderful week, and we will see y'all soon.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
All right. Woo. Look. I got that wow. Who wants some hands up right now? We got that, turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming. I can't ever stop, I'm a tour de force running. Get me to the top, I don't need an invitation. I'm about to start a celebration, let me in. Brought a good time plus some friends. Turn it up loud, past